Tonight on Business Live, over 5 billion cedis worth of bribe paid in both the private and public sector, with 26.7% of public sector officials engaged in this illegality. More from the Ghana Statistical Service's 2021 Integrity of Public Services Survey.
Percent of our population, of our citizens, the adult population, were offered money ahead of the elections. And they did indicate that 4.2% of them indicated that another family member was offered money for the same.
Also, consumers should brace themselves for an increase in the cost of goods and services as producer price inflation rate hits 38% in June, with manufacturing topping at 51.8%. We have more from the Chief Executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Chuma Kwabwa.
Continuous like this, and you cannot absorb it. You have no choice than to pass on, and when you pass on, the implication is also there. So it's a very dicey situation, and we wish that we have a normalcy in the economic environment.
Plus, the Joy Business Van features Ghanaian cancer research and diagnostics company Yamachi Biotech on a mission to accelerate development of cancer detection and cure strategies. All these stories and more coming shortly with me, Charles Ayitey. Do stay with us. Tonight, over 5 billion cedis worth of bribes were paid in both the private and public sectors. According to the Ghana Statistical Service's 2021 Ghana Integrity of Public Services Survey. Now, this report indicates that 26.7% of public sector officials were engaged in this illegality, with 9.1% of private sector officials as well. According to government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna-Ening, on the breakdown with respect to these sectors, he explains that corruption was prevalent, with the Ghana Police Service having 53.2%, followed by the Ghana Immigration Service, as well as the Ghana Revenue Authority having 37.4% and 33.6% respectively. We have more in this report.
The Novell survey seeks to provide internationally comparable measures of corruption and supports the implementation of policies to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 16.5 that says substantially reduce corruption and bribery in all forms. The survey shows more than 8 out of 10 adults in Ghana had at least one contact with a public official in 2021. Also, over 17.4 million bribes were paid in Ghana across sectors, with 26.7% of the adult population paying bribes to a public official.
10.3% of our population, of our citizens, the adult population, were offered money ahead of the elections. And they did indicate that 4.2% of them indicated that another family member was offered money for the same. How is this affecting our economy? We quantified it, and it's 5 billion Ghana cedis in the year 2021. What are the next steps? Your Lordship, we hope to collaborate with UNODC, TRAJ, and all the anti-corruption agencies that are in this room and are joining virtually or were not able to join, to have stakeholder engagement, do detailed engagement with the numbers that I've shared, looking at the relationships to nail down the issue of corruption at both the national and the subnational level.
With a prevalence of bribery of 29.2%, people aged 25 to 34 are the age group most vulnerable to paying bribes. The prevalence of bribery decreases steadily to 17.6% among those aged 65 and over, while among the youngest adult age group,
we see a difference of about 41, close to 42 percentage point difference between the region that has the highest prevalence rate and the region that has the least prevalence rate. We see Western North with a rate of 53.4%, close to twice the national figure. And we see the Bunu East region having the least of 11.8, again about half the national figure of 26.7. And what is striking here is that of the 16 administrative regions, 10 of the administrative regions are recording rates higher than the national average of 26.7. This underscores the need for policy to focus on disaggregations from a geographical level and a sectoral point of view.
Only 3 out of 100 people who paid bribe in.
Interesting report there, but we shall be having more analysis on this. In the meantime, consumers should brace themselves for an increase in the cost of goods and services. Now, this is according to the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, as Producer Price Index, which measures the average changes in prices received by domestic producers for their output for the month of June this year, hit 38%. Now, this indicates a 4.7% increase from May this year. Manufacturing topped the inflation chart, of course, by 51.8%, followed by mining and quarrying 25.5%, and utilities being 1.2%. In all of this, the chief executive of the AGI, Chuma Kwabwa, has been responding, saying there's a possibility of passing on the cost to consumers.
The fact that producer prices are going up, it means cost of production is going up. Now, when cost of production is going up, there are 2 things that can happen, or 3 things. You may, as a producer, decide that you transfer this cost to the consumer in the form of higher prices of your products. But that is not very simple. That's why sometimes they say there isn't much link between the PPI and the CPI. The linkage there that I see is the fact that if prices of your cost of production is going up, you may decide to transfer the cost to the consumer in the form of higher prices. But when you do that, there's a possibility, especially from a local manufacturer, there's a possibility for you to be losing market share because you have imported products that is competing with you in your own market. They may not be experiencing this situation you are experiencing. So imported products may not have that significant rise in prices. So if you pass it on, you will lose your market share. Some have reasonable margin that can absorb such increase in cost. In that case, they probably will not pass it on. Others may pass a certain percentage on and absorb another percentage. Others may say, okay, I have to pass on everything. But those will have to be very careful about their market conditions. If your market condition doesn't permit such increase in prices because of the potential to lose your market share, then you have no choice than to absorb it. But you cannot absorb that for too long. That is why I got alarmed, because if it continues like this and you cannot absorb it, you have no choice than to pass on. And when you pass on, the implication is also there. So it's a very dicey situation, and we wish that we have a normalcy in our economic environment.
Now, as the Finance Minister prepares to present the mid-year budget review on Monday, Mr. Chuma Kwabwa is urging government to reveal measures targeted at ensuring macroeconomic stability.
The most critical challenge that we all have as manufacturers, as industry, and as businesses is about the stability of the macroeconomic environment. You want to have a predictable business environment. So how do you stabilize the city? It is very important. How do you stabilize the exchange rate so that it falls within a certain predictable range? How do you ensure that the policy rate is not continuing going up? So when you put all this together, then you have a stability in the macroeconomic environment. So in this budget that the minister will be presenting, we want to see the indicators, the factors that would come in to help cushion or ensure stability in the macroeconomic environment. That for us is very important. Because if you don't achieve that, even if you are giving subsidies, if you are giving any incentive, and you still have very unpredictable environment, you have a difficulty taking advantage of market conditions. So the first thing we want to see in the budget is indications of critical factors that will help stabilize the macroeconomic environment so that we can plan and predict and go on.
Away from that, GCB Bank is now the #1 bank in Ghana with significant investment on the Ghana Stock Exchange fixed income market in the very first half of this year. The second biggest bank in the country held 16.74% of the debt market after buying 3.7 billion cedis worth of debt instruments. Charles Nisiabua has more in this report.
GCB Bank overtook Stanbic Bank, which decreased its holdings in the Government of Ghana securities to 13.41% from about 20% at the beginning of the year. The indigenous bank traded more volumes of debt instruments than any of the 23 banks. Stanbic Bank was second with a controlling stake of 13.4%, but its investment in government bonds stood at 3.5 billion cedis. Fidelity, Access and Absa Bank also maintained their significant investment in government debt instruments. Together, they control 34.1% of the Ghana fixed income market. From the trading result, one could tell that some of the banks have reduced their holdings in the largely risk-free instruments, whilst others have increased their stake. According to the Bank of Ghana's monetary policy report in May, banks' investment portfolio as of the end of April this year remained in favor of long-term debt instruments, a response to higher interest rates on the long-term instrument.
And you're watching Business Live. Still to come in the bulletin, the Joy Business Van features Ghanaian cancer research and diagnostics company Yamachi Biotech on a mission to accelerate development of cancer detection and cure strategies. We have more. To stay with us. I'll leave you with international business news, after which we bid goodbye.